The reveal event for MK11 is currently going down. It's the big break right now before the content creators and celebrity interviews, the pro player exhibition, and the show floor tour. I have to say that I don't know. Just a little history with the game. Grew up, of course, like everyone else, watching the stream, playing Mortal Kombat, except up until Mortal Kombat 9, where I feel like there was a big rift that happened between me and the franchise. Didn't like it so much. And MKX, though I ended up quite good at the game, I do have to say that it was a love-hate relationship. There were a lot of things I used to complain about the game, but even more so than Street Fighter 5. Like, I mean, when I look back at older Street Fighter games, I tend to reminisce quite a lot, and I tend to complain a lot about Street Fighter 5, and I feel like that was my history with MK9 and MK10, where it was like, this game just isn't for me. And I would complain about it, but I played a crap ton. I won't lie. I played quite a lot of MK10, not so much 9. And I decided, I'm just gonna be hands off with MK11, not hype myself too much about it, and just see it when it's revealed. I remember when the big trailer was shown at the game awards, and everyone was calling each other like, yo man, did you see that trailer? And I had a close friend of mine, just talk to him on the phone right now. If you've watched previous tournament videos, you know a muscle man, one of our best MKX players around in the cold room. And he once asked me when I visited him at his arcade, and he was like, yo, what do you think about the trailer? And I was very cold about it. I was like, it's just a trailer, doesn't show anything about the game. For all we know, it could be the trailer for Teletubbies. and it was an obvious response. He even told me it was an obvious response. And reason being is that I've been let down in the past. They are good games, of course, their sales represent that, but to me, a game's sales aren't the full picture. So like I said, love-hate relationship. Now that I've seen the game, Ronda Rousey's words, I feel like they epitomized this reveal. People always we used to have discussions like, yo, how can they make MKX better? What are they gonna change? What are they gonna add? And we couldn't understand how the game could get better. Like, you know what I mean? You couldn't fathom how it could get better. And looking at this game, the graphics, of course, like, technology is advancing. That's all fair and fine. Graphics are expected to be better, but not this good. Not this sweet. I don't know what else to say. The gameplay looks amazing. The gore tech that they implemented, of course, there's not as much bone crunching like we used to see in MK10, mostly because the X-rays are out. We've now got fatal blows. I'll still probably call them supers because I was raised on Japanese fighting games. But instead of X-rays, we have supers, we have fatal blows. And right now, really what I want to talk to you mostly about are the things I took away from that gameplay reveal. The things that I feel are more important to me as a player, what I've been wanting in MK for a very long time. I've grown up on Japanese fighting games, that is my staple, and I feel like Japanese fighting games have a lot of depth within their game mechanics. Most of them are very difficult games to play, and I felt like MK really not so much a game I would recommend to someone looking for heavy execution in a fighting game. And in terms of game systems, that mechanics that make up the game, not so many as well. But anyway, the point was that I was looking for more within a MK Mortal Kombat game in general. Now, looking at what they showed in the actual matches, sure, all fair and fine, MK things are still MK things. But one big problem MKX had was that there was no reward for the defensive player. Your meter was used for both breaking and offense. So most of the time, if you found that you're using a defensive character, for example, Kenshi, someone who really needed to use the bar, someone who had to get off the bar immediately to get some sort of advantage. As soon as you are on the defensive turn when you are being attacked, it felt as if there was nothing much you could do on the defense. That's why I ended up drifting more towards characters like Sonya Blade and Scorpion, whereby you don't actually need to have a lot of meter to deal damage. That way you could save your meter for defensive options. But either way, defense was a big problem in the game. There was no reward for defensive play, and I was glad to see that they finally split the meters after how many decades of been crying. Maybe I'm the only one who's been crying, where it's like, put a separate resource for the defensive player, just like how Street Fighter has V reversals or focus attacks or ultra gauges. Put a separate resource for the defensive player. You can have them both, then you use which one you need when you need it. I shouldn't be put in a situation whereby I did my best to obtain meter and I have to lose it on a breaker just because I'm in some dumb 50-50 situation. That was really a flowchart brain dead situation. So now with split meter, it means that, I can go on my offense, and when it's time to defend, I can still have defensive options. Amazing stuff. It's something we've all been crying for, and I'm glad finally they have implemented it into the game. Secondly, one thing I would like to, these are all game mechanics. Like I said, I'm a Japanese game player, so the mechanics to me are what make the reveal. One thing I saw, thank God, thank God they put short hops in the game. When you play games like Fighting EX Layer, my goodness, when you play games like King of Fighters, a stalwart in the community of the, should I say, the lesser known fighting games, even though it's a well-known game, it was a well-known game made for the minorities. King of Fighters has a lot of great movement based options, and if they implement short hops the way I hope they will, then good God, people's offense now won't be the typical knockdown into 50-50 situation. That was, to me, MK9 and MK10. Get knocked down is a 50-50 for most of the cast, and it got boring. To me personally, it got boring where you just know you put someone in a blender, and that's pretty much it. Doesn't matter how good they are, it's a 50-50 chance. It's either they get it right or they get it wrong. No matter who they are, they've been knocked down. Like I said, that's why I drifted towards Sonya Blade and Scorpion, because I will knock you down and it's a guaranteed 50-50 situation. I didn't need to play fighting games, I didn't need to play footsies. All I needed to do was play 50-50 knockdowns. I got quite far. Even though I'm not like the best player around, I got quite far on that alone. I had to tell myself to let go. I'm more of a player focusing on footsies and long range pokes, and that got me nowhere in the beginning of the game's lifespan. So when I see short hops, that makes me think, what options can I have on someone's wake up when they are in an Okizeme situation? They are waking up. Will they armor? Will they not armor? Is armor even a thing in this game? I don't even know. Fatal blows? Who knows? He wants to go low, he wants to go overhead. I can jump and I can now short hop. If the short hops can go backwards and forwards, that gives you greater mobility options. Bear in mind, we didn't see a stamina meter, which means probably running is not as a big a factor as MKX, because running was a feature in MKX. This could mean that running isn't in the game. I would have to rewatch the footage to see if the characters were running or dashing. Without a stamina meter, I'm not too sure how it works. It could be like Fighting EX Layer or Guilty Gear, where dashing and holding forward equals a run. That could be a possibility. Like I said, my mind is still blown. So I have to rewatch the footage, and you're probably seeing the footage right now. But short hops, great addition, like I said, and the defensive meter, great addition as well. Things I've been wanting in an MK game: more mobility and more defensive options, which lacked completely in previous games, outside of armor and shady backdash at best. Lastly, one of the few things I would like to talk about right now is just frame blocking. I feel like when they made this game, they looked at what made better games better than theirs. No offense to MK players and stalwarts of the series, but I feel like what made other games better were that they had better mechanics overall. It was a flashy package, but it wasn't a very in-depth package. And I feel like they saw what makes games like Street Fighter, what makes them popular? Okay, they have defensive options. Maybe let's try putting some defensive options. They look at games like King of Fighters or Fighting EX Layer or Guilty Gear. What makes those games good? Why do people appreciate them? There's depth in them. There's also good mobility in them. So let's put mobility in our game. Just frame blocking. Anyone who's played previous Marvel games, anyone who's played Guilty Gear games, plays Blue games, they know that just blocking is a great thing to have because you're rewarding execution with better frame data. It's really great. It's really great. I hope to see more. But for now, these are the few. This is my summary of what I took out from the reveal. My biggest things were just frame blocks, short hops, and defensive options. Like I said, still in this, I'm taken over by the hype right now, I have to admit, because this is one game I didn't give any credit to and I didn't want to give credit to. I was like, you know what, it's just another MK game. It's a love-hate relationship. I know how to play the game, I'm quite decent at it at times, but there are so many things I wished were in this game, and it looks like it's happening. The graphics are looking great, the combos are looking MK-ish. Actually, I dare say the combos, well, even though they weren't doing extensive combos, they kind of still seem kind of MK no links that I saw. And funnily enough, that variation of Scorpion after the spear didn't have a 50-50 situation. So if they're vying away from 50-50 gameplay, this might be a great game for most people who play Japanese fighting games, because those games rely solely on, well, not solely, but mostly on great footsies and great fundamentals, as compared to MK10 and 9, where if you could zone or 50-50 someone, that's all you really needed to do. Your movement didn't have to be so great at times, but of course people beg to differ. That's just my opinion on the game. I am amazed. I was not going to give this game the light of day, but seeing that reveal alone changed my opinion tenfold. I dare say they might have taken my money, but I am worried. The Switch version has been delayed. No word about the PC version, and with their history of the PC version, I wouldn't be shocked if there are issues there. But for now, that's it. Let me get back to the reveal and see what's happening.